Have you ever picked up the Book of Ecclesiastes, read the first few lines, and thought, wow, this is a downer? Attributed to the incredibly wise King Solomon, it kicks off with a bombshell declaration. Vanity of vanities, all is vanity. It sounds bleak, right? Like chasing the wind. But stick with it, because behind that seemingly gloomy outlook is some of the most profound, life-altering wisdom you'll ever encounter. Ecclesiastes isn't about despair. It's a powerful call to live with humility, simplicity, and a deep reverence for God. It's a reality check that reminds us our time here is short, our earthly trophies are temporary, and real, lasting joy is discovered when we learn to honor the Lord and live with a sense of purpose. This book is a direct challenge to human pride, our desperate need for control, and our endless chase for pleasure. It guides us toward a life that's balanced and centered on what truly lasts, eternity. So let's dive into this ancient text and pull out 25 precious lessons that can teach us how to navigate life with wisdom, awe, and a deep sense of contentment. First up, a lesson that can calm so much of our anxiety. There is a time for everything. As Ecclesiastes 3:1 puts it, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. This is a game changer. It's a powerful reminder that life moves in cycles. Not everything is supposed to happen on our schedule. There's a divinely appointed time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to weep and a time to laugh. Grasping this helps us live with more peace because we stop fighting the natural rhythm of life. The secret is to trust God's timing and learn to recognize the right moment for every action. That leads right into our second lesson. Trust the process and keep going. Ecclesiastes 11:6 says, "In the morning sow thy seed, and in the evening withhold not thine hand, for thou knowest not whether shall prosper either this or that." This is all about perseverance. We're called to do the work, to plant the seeds diligently without giving up, because we have no idea which of our efforts will be the one that bears fruit. God wants us to keep sowing, morning and evening, trusting that He is in charge of the results. Next, a hard but comforting truth. Injustice is real, but God is the ultimate judge. In Ecclesiastes 3:17, Solomon reflects, "I said in mine heart, God shall judge the righteous and the wicked." Even when the world seems unfair, we can find comfort in knowing there is a final judgment. God sees it all, and He will act at the perfect time. Justice might not always win out in this life, but it will come. This frees us to remain faithful, trusting that no act of good or evil goes unnoticed by the righteous judge. Here's a powerful thought. Wisdom is life's ultimate protection. Solomon compares wisdom and money in Ecclesiastes 7:12, saying both offer a form of defense. But he makes it clear that wisdom has the ultimate edge because it giveth life to them that have it. Money might buy you temporary security, but true wisdom gives you spiritual direction and saves you from devastating choices. Investing in wisdom is far more valuable than hoarding wealth. This next one is a dose of humility for all of us. Nobody is perfect. As Ecclesiastes 7:20 bluntly states, "For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not." This is a crucial reminder of our shared human imperfection. Everyone makes mistakes. This truth should lead us to be more humble, gracious, and forgiving with ourselves and with others. It helps us live with more compassion and less judgment. Feeling anxious about what's around the corner? Remember this: God is in control of the future. Ecclesiastes 8:7 tells us that we don't know what's coming and no one can tell us. This isn't meant to scare us, but to lead us to a place of deep dependence on God. When we truly accept that our tomorrows are in His hands, we can finally find peace. Anxiety fades and uncertainty becomes an invitation to trust Him more. And how do we navigate this uncertain future? A wise heart knows the right time to act. A wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment, says Ecclesiastes 8:5. True wisdom isn't about always having the answer or rushing into action. It's about knowing when to speak and when to be silent, when to move and when to wait. A wise person observes, prays, and waits for God's signal, moving at his pace, not their own. This brings us to a lesson about our daily efforts. Whatever you do, do it with all your heart. Ecclesiastes 9:10 is a powerful call to action. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with thy might. The time we have to make an impact is now. This life is our only chance to get things done. So whether the task is big or small, we should approach it with passion and excellence. Working with enthusiasm is a form of worship, honoring the gift of today. But what if you give it your all and still don't succeed? That's where this lesson comes in. The best prepared don't always win. In a moment of pure realism, Ecclesiastes 9:11 says, "The race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong." Life is unpredictable. Success isn't just a product of our own strength or effort. It's subject to God's sovereign will. This is a call to be humble and rely on His grace, trusting Him even when the outcome doesn't make sense. Now for a sobering warning. A tiny bit of foolishness can ruin a great reputation. As Ecclesiastes 10:1 vividly puts it, dead flies cause the ointment of the apothecary to send forth a stinking savor. In the same way, one small, foolish act can tarnish a reputation that took a lifetime of wisdom to build. This reminds us to be vigilant in everything we do and say. Integrity is hard-won but easily lost. Feeling burnt out? Maybe it's time to stop and sharpen the axe. Ecclesiastes 10:10 explains that if you try to cut with a dull blade, you'll have to use more force. The lesson: wisdom is profitable to direct. Working without wisdom is exhausting and inefficient. Before you act, seek God's direction and prepare yourself. Wisdom saves energy, prevents mistakes, and makes your efforts far more effective. Here's a lesson on the boomerang effect of malice. Those who dig a pit for others often fall into it themselves. This poetic image from Ecclesiastes 10:8 speaks to the natural consequences of evil intentions. God's justice has a way of turning people's wicked plans back on them. Instead of plotting against others, we are called to live with integrity, knowing that God repays everyone according to their actions. Ready to live a life of faith-filled generosity? Then cast your bread upon the waters. This beautiful phrase from Ecclesiastes 11:1 is about giving freely, without expecting an immediate or obvious return. It's an act of trust. This lesson encourages us to sow goodness and bless others, believing that God sees every generous act and will reward it in His own time. Thinking about the big picture, remember this: our bodies are temporary, but our spirits are eternal. Ecclesiastes 12:7 reminds us that our bodies will return to dust, but our spirits will return to God who gave them. We are more than just flesh and blood. We are eternal souls. This perspective changes everything: our priorities, our relationships, and our search for meaning. Living with an awareness of eternity helps us live more wisely. So what's the ultimate point of it all? Solomon boils it down for us. The whole purpose of life is to honor God. After exploring every facet of life, he reaches a grand conclusion in Ecclesiastes 12:13. Fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. This is the heart of the book. To fear God doesn't mean to be terrified of Him. It means to live in respectful, loving awe of who He is. That reverence is what guides us into true wisdom. It's also important to know that the ability to enjoy life is a gift from God. Many people have riches but no peace to enjoy them. Ecclesiastes 5:19 teaches that God not only gives us blessings but also the power to eat thereof. True prosperity isn't just about having a lot. It's about having a grateful and satisfied heart that can enjoy what's been given. Let's be practical for a moment. Money is a useful tool, but it's not the answer to everything. Ecclesiastes 10:19 acknowledges that money answereth all things in a practical sense. It can solve many material problems. But this isn't a praise of greed. The lesson is to use money wisely but never put your hope in it. It's a resource, not a savior. Are you waiting for the perfect moment to act? Then you need to hear this. He who watches the wind will never sow. This warning from Ecclesiastes 11:4 is for anyone paralyzed by perfectionism or fear. If you wait for ideal conditions, you'll never get anything done. God calls us to step out in faith, even in uncertainty. The harvest belongs to those who have the courage to plant. Here's some counterintuitive advice. It's better to hear a wise rebuke than a fool's praise. According to Ecclesiastes 7:5, a sharp correction from someone wise is far more valuable than empty flattery. A good rebuke challenges us and helps us grow. It may sting in the moment, but it's a gift that can save us from making bigger mistakes down the road. This next lesson is for anyone in the middle of a long journey. Finishing well is more important than starting strong. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, we read in Ecclesiastes 7:8. Many people start with enthusiasm, but few have the patience and perseverance to see things through. God honors faithfulness to the finish line. In a world that often relies on force, remember that wisdom is a greater defense than weapons. Ecclesiastes 9:18 tells us that wisdom is better than weapons of war. True security doesn't come from physical strength or power, but from God's guidance. A wise person can avoid conflicts and disastrous choices, achieving victories that force never could. Life can feel upside down sometimes, which is why we need to remember that the righteous don't always get their reward in this life. Solomon observes in Ecclesiastes 8:14 that sometimes good people suffer while wicked people seem to thrive. This can be disillusioning, but it's a call to trust in God's ultimate justice. Our hope isn't in immediate rewards, but in an eternal God who will make all things right. Are you tempted to look back and say, the good old days were better? Solomon has some advice. Don't get stuck in the past. He warns in Ecclesiastes 7:10 that it's not wise to romanticize what was. God is at work in the here and now. While the past can teach us valuable lessons, we live out our faith in the present, building a future that honors Him. This one might surprise you. You'll learn more in the house of mourning than in the house of feasting. Ecclesiastes 7:2 says it's better to go to a funeral than a party, because confronting the reality of death forces us to think about what truly matters. The pain of loss can awaken us to the shortness of life, inspiring us to live each day with purpose and intention. And finally, the secret to a happy life. Simple, daily joy is a gift from God. In Ecclesiastes 3:12-13, we're reminded that the ability to eat, drink, and enjoy the fruit of our labor is a blessing. True joy isn't found in grand achievements, but in recognizing God's hand in the simple moments of everyday life. With Him, even the mundane becomes a source of gratitude and delight. In the end, the Book of Ecclesiastes is a timeless message that calls us to wake up to what is real. Solomon shows us that any pursuit, wealth, pleasure, work, or knowledge, becomes an empty chase when disconnected from God. Through these 25 lessons, we discover that the true purpose of life isn't found in collecting temporary wins, but in honoring God, following His ways, and treating each day as the sacred gift it is. May we learn to live more simply, love more deeply, and walk more humbly, with God at the center of our days and eternity as our ultimate destination. Because, as Solomon concludes, when all is said and done, only one thing truly matters: fear God and keep His commandments, for this is the whole duty of man.